Powers leads away from second base. Riley O'Brien with the pitch. Collins pops it. Short left field. On the run, coming in, Nathan Church. He has it for a Redbird winner. Collins, a fly ball out to left field. And the home season has come to an end as the Cardinals set off the fireworks at the scoreboard in right center field, celebrating a 5-1 win over the Milwaukee Brewers and 2 out of 3 in the win column over a team that is going to win the Central for the third straight year.
Extra Innings Show. Joe Pott with you from Busch Stadium. Our Extra Innings Show is presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. That's exactly right, John Rooney. The Cardinals win it, and they do it over the now National League Central Division champs. Brewers couldn't do it with a win, but they do it thanks to a Cubs loss today as the Cubs dropped a 1-0 decision at Cincinnati in the finale of that series. So the Brewers do win the division for the third year in a row. The Cardinals do win this series from the Brewers. They finished the home season with a 44-37 record and 2.25 million in attendance at Busch Stadium here in 2025. Joe Pott with you. Happy to have you with us. If you want to get in, 314-436-7900 or jump on the socials. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're on Facebook, and you can join us right there. You can just drop a comment right in the chat, and we will talk about it. We've got a call already. Tate is on the line. Tate, you are on KMOX. Tate, go ahead. Tate, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you very much. He said it's a great home win and a good way to build some momentum and want to keep winning over the last 6 games to build some momentum for 2026. So I appreciate that, and I agree with you. Tate, Sam gets us on the comments on the stream, says nice win, and Matthew Liberatore getting out of that bases-loaded jam set the tone for the win. He's talking about that third inning when a couple of base hits and a walk loaded the bases for the Brewers. He strikes out Andrew Vaughn, gets Rhys Hoskins to ground out, and you're right. And I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, but an important part of this season, you can't overlook the fact that Matthew Liberatore and Michael McGreevy are having really good finishes to the season. Even Oliver Marmol mentioned it today when he was talking about Liberatore, that he went through that dead period, right? He went through that part where he couldn't find the velocity, but he's gotten past that. He is going to have 30 starts to finish out this season. I assume he's going to make his last start. No reason to think he won't. And that's a really good full season for him. And then Michael McGreevy will have his final start coming up tomorrow at San Francisco. He's had a good season as well. Let's go back to the phone lines. Randy is with us on the Extra Innings Show. Randy, go ahead. You're on KMOX. Doing good. I appreciate both those questions. They are not yet eliminated from the playoffs. Officially, their elimination number continues to sit at 3 right now. It's actually 2 to the Mets, but the Mets lost, so that doesn't move. So right now, that elimination number is still at 3. They are still mathematically alive. Second question, will Arenado be back with the Cardinals? It certainly doesn't feel like he will, although we thought this offseason that the Cards had a deal to move him to Houston, and that did not materialize, mostly maybe because Arenado wasn't ready to make that move to Houston, wasn't really comfortable with where the Astros were, so he stayed. So right now, I would tell you the chances are pretty good that Arenado is going to be playing his last few games. If he's playing, he'll play his last few games as a Cardinal. Let's go keep it on the phone lines. Don, you're next. Welcome to KMOX, Don.
Sure. I would like to see them go out and get them a third baseman if Arenado's not the third baseman next year. I hang on the line. I appreciate your comment on it, Joe. You have a good day.
I appreciate it, Don. Always good to hear from you. Let's address a couple of those things. So the salary is roughly 31, something like that. And whether or not it's gonna, I can't answer who's gonna pick that up, because that's gonna be a deal that is worked out based on who wants Arenado, how much they want to pay of that salary, how much the Cardinals may still have to cover of that salary. So that'll all be worked out in the details. So it's a really good question, and I think it's probably a roadblock, right, to moving Nolan Arenado, to finding what that deal looks like if you are going to move Nolan Arenado. I think probably if you're the Cardinals, you're going to eat some of that salary. You're going to have to cover some of that salary. What that number is, maybe it depends on how good Chaim Bloom is at his job as far as what that deal looks like. Next comment, you talked about Nolan Gorman taking over at third base. Will he be the one? I think that, we heard so much about Nolan Gorman this year. Going into the year, this runway year, it was Nolan Gorman, it was Jordan Walker, and then the question becomes now, did you see what you need to see from both of those guys? And I think that probably yes, but I would also say probably not on the positive side for either of those guys. You saw continued inconsistency from Jordan Walker. You finally had an admission about a month ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, that maybe Jordan Walker wasn't putting in the amount of work, the effort that they were really looking for from Jordan Walker. And I think that you saw Nolan Gorman have stretches of some good play at the plate. The strikeouts crept back in as we got later in the year. And I think that inconsistency is the best way to describe his year at third base, because he made some plays that were really, really good. Like the play he made earlier in this series. He made a nice play today, a nice diving play today, but also made some really poor plays at third base. Just some plays that it kind of seemed like he mentally forgot either the situation or what the how many outs, anything like that. Something mentally that forced a little hiccup that then it wasn't a very good play at third base. So we saw a lot of inconsistency. So again, unfortunately, I'll have to defer to how good Chaim Bloom is and what he can do as far as third base goes, because I honestly believe, I've said this, I heard Tom Ackerman say this morning, it's going to be up in the air with regards to personnel and who's on this team in 2026. And I said this, in fact, at the trade deadline. If you have a deal, you make that deal, because nobody on this active roster, in my opinion, is untouchable. And I am including Ivan Herrera. I am including Mason Wynn. If you have a deal, you make a deal. And if you can make a deal that makes your team better in the long run, going forward, this is a long-term outreaching project, long-ranging project, then you do that. And I think that is what Chaim Bloom is charged to do by ownership, and that is what he will do. And that is why I think that you could see a range of different players on this team in 2026. It just all remains to be seen. Now, I said active roster. I said the major league roster is what I was referring to, because I'm not advocating that you're moving on from J.J. Weatherholt, obviously. I'm not advocating that you're moving on from Liam Doyle, obviously, and a lot of those prospects that are still to come. And I don't think that they will move on from some of these guys at the major league level. I'm just saying that if you do get a deal, if there's something out there that you think makes this team better, then you make that deal. Because I think right now, going forward, McGreevy is in the rotation. I think Liberator is in the rotation. We'll see what it looks like if Sonny Gray stays or Sonny Gray goes. So I'm not saying that you have to move everybody or that everybody will get moved. I'm just saying that you listen on anybody. So we'll see what that looks like when Chaim Bloom takes over. Let's take a break here. Let's come back with more, and we'll see if we get any more calls, any more comments, and we'll continue to talk about this one. Cards win 5-1 today over the Brewers here at Busch Stadium. They wrap up the home schedule. They've got 6 to play here in the regular season. We'll come back right after this on KMOX.
And that pitch is hammered to left field off the bat of Herrera. Did he get it? Oh, yeah! Over the bullpen. A 2-run shot for Ivan Herrera, his 17th of the year, and the Cardinals jump out on top 2-0 here in the third inning.
There you go. Welcome back into the Extra Innings Show. Joe Pott with you from Busch Stadium. As you hear Ivan Herrera connect with home run number 17 here this afternoon, a 2-run home run. Our Extra Innings Show is presented by Graybar. Graybar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Happy to have you along. If you would like to join us, 314-436-7900. Otherwise, get on the socials as well. Facebook, YouTube, X. We're right there. You can drop a comment in there, and we can talk about it. I do want to let you hear a little bit from the Cardinals starter today because we didn't get a chance to get to that in the network post-game show. So let's hear a little bit from Matthew Liberatore, and he starts out talking about the impact that John Mozeliak has had on him.
He's put together a pretty incredible run. Obviously, the last 3 years haven't gone the way anybody's wanted to, but if you look at his legacy and his tenure here, he's done some pretty incredible things, and that should not be overlooked.
And your relationship with him always believing in you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's given me ample opportunities, and this year to finally put me in the rotation and give me this opportunity, I couldn't be more grateful for.
Libby, you're on a good stretch right now, on a good run. Is there one common thread that runs through all of it?
I think physically I'm just feeling really good right now. Definitely want to finish this year strong, and got one more start to go, but really just feel like I started to click with the routines and the processes and what's going to work for me moving forward.
Libby, is the velocity today an example of kind of where your body's feeling and like you said, getting past that wall early this year?
Yeah, I'd say so. Felt really good today.
Quite an ovation for Nolan Arenado. He's probably saved you some runs over the years. What has he meant to you?
Yeah, having him as a glove behind me when I'm pitching, you just know that anything going his way is going to get scooped up and the play's going to get made. And, it's just an incredible player, somebody that I've admired watching go about his business since the second I stepped foot in this clubhouse. And just an awesome dude.
You got spraying a ready number of ways that your season could have played out. For you to make your 30th start, and it's the last home game of the year, how much are those things important?
I wouldn't say super important, but definitely a cool coincidence. 30 starts, yeah, that's very important. The fact that it falls on the last home game of the year is pretty cool, but definitely not something I was focused on.
To get through 30 starts and to feel as good as you feel right now for your body to be where it's at, what kind of accomplishment is that for what a career looks like?
Yeah, I think, after what I went through in the second half, I think kind of coming out on top like this and feeling as good as I felt is very encouraging moving into next year for sure.
With this year being kind of one of those years where a lot of young guys have had a lot of runaway and been able to kind of grab that, just when you look at the bullpen, you see the job that Matt Swanson's done behind you guys. How much of a key has he been for you this year? And you can kind of look at next year as being one of those guys you can rely on.
Our bullpen's kind of been the diamond in the rough this year. They've been lights out for us the entire season, and they've saved a lot of runs for us and closed out a lot of close ball games for us. And guys like him and Riley stepping up and filling the roles that they have has been nothing short of incredible.
Thank you.
Cardinals starter Matthew Liberatore talking after the game. We got to get some more comments. First, quick comment. DLW was watching on FanDuel, Wisconsin. He said it took the Brewers forever to get the champagne going in the clubhouse. I have seen them start to trickle out here behind us, so I think that they've kind of finished up their celebration. They've got bigger and better things to do, of course. We need to get back to the phones as well. Chris is joining us on the Extra Innings Show. Chris, you're on KMOX.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me. I really enjoy the show.
Appreciate it.
Hey, if you look at the Cardinals season, they're 19 games behind Milwaukee, which seems like a lot. But if you really break it down at 76 and 80, they're just a couple games away from being right in the wild card. And if you think about turnarounds, it really shouldn't take a whole lot to turn the team around. It may feel like it may be a lot, but you get a couple players and you finish 10 games over and you find yourself in the playoffs.
You could find yourself in the playoffs at 5 games over, right? I mean, even if you think about it would not take a huge turnaround if you're talking about certainly, making a run at one of those wild card spots, especially, think about the way the Mets have been playing down the stretch.
Yeah, and it's I was just thinking for next year, you're not that far away. If you look at Milwaukee, they've done it, with a lot of young players. Christian Yelich is a guy who's been there for a lot of years, but they've done it with a lot of guys that they brought up through their system.
Yeah, Tom Ackerman made a comment this morning on Sports on a Sunday Morning. He said the Brewers kind of now are what the Cardinals were a few years ago when you're talking about bringing up players that they're able to plug into their lineup, that are able to have success at the big league level. And obviously that's what the Cardinals are trying to get back to. But your point is a good one. I mean, at 4 games under right now, it does not take. I mean, if you look at right now, the Cincinnati Reds are 4 games over. They're now tied with the Mets for the wild card. The Diamondbacks are a game over, and they're a game and a half out of the playoffs, and they still could sneak into the playoffs.
It seems to be the MLB's headed more towards like the NFL playoffs and maybe even the NBA or NHL. You just got to get in and then get the pitching set up, and everything would be right.
I appreciate the call and certainly the positive outlook, because that is exactly, I think, the way that Cardinal fans should look at it, that it won't take a lot to get back to postseason baseball. It might take a little bit more to get back to be where you are thinking you are a World Series favorite, but even that wouldn't be that much of a stretch. And, of course, when you consider the fact that you just have to get in and see what happens at that point. DLW lets us know, too, the Reds and Mets now tied for that last wild card, and he finds that to be very hilarious. And when you think about where the Mets were, boy, I agree. And how much money the Mets have spent, their payroll certainly compared to the Cincinnati Reds, and now the Reds right there in that wild card spot. 6 games to play for everyone, a couple more series to go. The Mets have done everything they can to not get into the postseason. The Reds have made a charge. They are now tied for that wild card spot. So it could be an interesting, fun last 6 days, certainly for fan bases all over, including Arizona, including San Francisco, where the Cardinals are going, by the way. The Giants are still alive at 3.5 games out. Again, the Cardinals are still alive at 4 games out of the wild card. It is just unlikely. It is certainly not impossible. It is definitely improbable. Well, that'll do it for us here on the Extra Innings Show. What's on Deck is brought to you by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best at chesterfieldfence.com. Tomorrow night, it is an 8:45 first pitch from San Francisco, 7:50 with the pregame show here on KMOX. Michael McGreevy will make the start. He's 7-3 with a 4.08 ERA. He's up against the future Hall of Famer Justin Verlander, who is 3-10 with a 3.75 ERA. That's tomorrow. It's 3 night games in San Francisco. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday's an off day. They'll begin their final series of the year Friday at Wrigley Field in Chicago. I'll talk to you next weekend as the Cardinals play the Cubs to wrap up the year. My thanks to all of the callers and texters and commenters getting in here on the show this afternoon. Big thanks to John Rooney, to Rick Horton, to Mike Claiborne, to Jim Jackson, to Kyle Sixta, and to Drew Young, who is actually behind that little box over there that says, nope, there it is. That little box that says Tom Ackerman, that's really Drew Young over there back in the studio. He's been there keeping us on time and in line all afternoon. Certainly appreciate him. I'm Joe Pott. I'll talk to you again next weekend. Keep it here on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.